Time is money, goes the saying. But time can also be art. With Conor Knighton, let's watch the clock.
From time to time, you might notice a shot of a clock in a movie. In a film like Back to the Future, they're key to the plot. Lightning strikes the clock tower at exactly 10:04 p.m. But often, they're just ticking away in the background. Or not ticking at all.
This watch.
Like the watch from Pulp Fiction, stopped at 11:46. Compile enough of these seemingly minute details, and minutes can turn into hours, spanning decades of moving image history.
That clock.
What about it?
Somebody obviously wanted us to know the time.
In the case of The Clock, a 24-hour film comprised entirely of clips from cinema and television history, that somebody is artist Christian Marclay.
It's not to create a trick or to make you forget about time. I want you to be totally conscious about it throughout.
Currently on view at the Museum of Modern Art in New York, the clock runs on a continuous loop, synced to the precise time of day. When the kids in the Breakfast Club are whistling at 11:31 a.m., it's 11:31 in real life. An hour later, Rain Man announces,
Pause, 12:31.
Minute by minute, the footage functions as an actual clock.
This uncanny experience of watching some of your favorite movies and realizing that it's telling the time that you're living in right now. And it's eliminating that barrier between you and the world on screen.
Stuart Comer is the chief curator of media and performance at MoMA.
The effort that it took with Christian and the team of researchers locating the clock footage and all of these different clips is somewhat superhuman.
When Marclay won Best Artist for The Clock at the 2011 Venice Biennale, it turned him into a contemporary art superstar. But the 70-year-old first made a name for himself decades earlier as part of New York's underground DJ scene.
In those days, you would find records, people would put them in the trash.
Born to an American mother and a Swiss father, Marclay was raised in Switzerland and moved to the US to attend art school in the late 1970s.
I kept putting aside my work as a visual artist because I lived in a tiny East Village apartment and I didn't have a studio. So music at that time was convenient.
It's easier to store records than canvases?
Yes, but you need tolerant neighbors.
Marclay's music was experimental. He was an early pioneer of turntablism.
Please welcome record player Christian Marclay.
Invited to spin on the short-lived show Night Music.
I would destroy the records in performance, but then I had all these incredible covers, such an interesting history of graphic design, and I started collaging with them.
One of Marclay's early successes in the visual art world arrived via his Body Mix series, in which he physically stitched together album covers to create new forms. He's unspooled cassette tapes to make prints and pillows. This is the entire tape output of the Beatles woven together. He's cut up everything from Japanese manga to movie subtitles, stacking cinematic fragments nearly 20 feet tall.
Seems like collage is the through line with all of this.
For me, I'm more interested in working with what exists rather than, invent or draw something.
In 1995, Marclay created Telephones, a masterful mashup of film phone conversations.
Darling, it's me.
What?
The girl's dead.
Are you sure? Do you have a positive ID?
No, not exactly.
It's been more than a decade since the clock was last in New York. Marclay is extremely precise about where and how it can be screened, insisting that any museum showing the work stay open at least once for 24 hours so that audiences can see the nighttime section.
Are there clock completists?
Oh, there are definitely clock squatters, I would say. People, who really commit to watching it.
But Marclay insists the point isn't to see all of it. It's more to make you hyper-aware of the time you're spending literally watching a clock.
Here you're reminded that you have an appointment at a certain time, that you can't spend your whole day watching this thing. You're more than a viewer, you're a participant in a way, because your life infringes on this clock.